Okay, part 3. How to rebuild things. Well, gotta own up to a lot of responsibility, possibly. And if you're someone who has a dismissive, avoidant attachment style, this is gonna be really hard. Because this means digging down deep, talking about feelings, things that you've been pushing down for a long time because it's too painful and too intense and too much. And if this means that you have more of a kind of fearful avoidant or preoccupied avoidant attachment style, this means taking responsibility as well and maybe reining in some of your emotions and fears and anxieties to listen to what the other person has to say. Now, if you are someone who's anxious preoccupied and you've been with someone who's dismissive avoidant, this is a really complicated dynamic because these two types of attachment injuries tend to kind of feed on each other. One's kind of always chasing the tail of the other one. So, if anything, you can learn a lot from each other how to strengthen your attachment styles if you're paying attention and doing so with the support of a therapist. Um, but again, it's a really hard mix. It's really hard to change these things, but it is possible. So, you're in a relationship, it's ended, you've taken some time, or you're in a relationship, you've realized it can't keep going the way that it is, but you do have your vibrations are similar. You do want similar things. Maybe you're just a little bit like this or a little bit like this rather than like this. And you need some support. There's been a lot of damage. Maybe all of your dysfunction when you were growing up has permeated in your relationship, and you've taken that out on each other for years. Maybe your backgrounds with types of families you come from are so different, and the stress of that has permeated your relationship. And now you've lost that person, or you've, attempted to move on from that person, and you realize at the end of the day, it's not about that. You realize that you're running. You realize that you're avoiding. And that you're going to continue that pattern into a new relationship because it isn't really about that person, it's about that pattern. The pattern is what needs to change. Sometimes, these patterns that we have, they are laid down over years. And it's important to be cognizant that they're not going to change in a day. They didn't get there in a day. So, we're going to need help. So, if you want to rebuild your relationship, the first step is getting honest. Because without being honest, you're doing a disservice to yourself and that other person. You're going to continue to drag out a really painful process that really needs to end. And these are the kind of relationships that we see where people have been together for years and years, and they same fight, same issues, same stuff being pushed under the rug, same issues going over and over again. You don't listen to me, or you talk too much, or you're always talking about feelings, or you never talk about feelings, and then we cover them and distract them with friends and trips and exciting things, and all the while you're never really getting to the meat, right? You're never really getting to the reason why you really need to end things, or you really need to rebuild things, because deep down inside you know that when you guys are good, you're good, and that the only reason you're not good isn't because you no longer want the same things. It's because you don't know how to communicate. There's all this, maybe in the case of myself, there's a lot of trauma influence. There's a lot of attachment injury influence that's limiting my ability to communicate, my ability to stand on my own, my ability to see things from an objective perspective rather than internalize them and fret about them based on my attachment injury and my trauma. So if you're going to rebuild things, step 1, be honest. Step 2, be honest. Be honest about what you're capable of. Be honest about what you're willing to invest in. Be honest about the fact that you love that other person and they enrich your life in so many ways, and that you want to work hard. But you want to work hard differently. You're willing to accept that things need to change direction. And that you want to do it with that other person in your life while you still independently have your journey. Again, this isn't about, fucking Jerry Maguire, like, you complete me. Remember? Vagus nerve, marketing, that's how it works, people. So, step 3, find a therapist or a counselor that's educated in couples counseling. Someone who's going to be open about the fact that going to couples counseling doesn't just mean that you're going to stay together. Sometimes going to couples counseling means that you're finding a way to realize that you need to be apart, or that you need to accept those things. So going to couples counseling doesn't automatically mean that your relationship is going to be saved. Sometimes it just gives us a platform to say everything we need to say and move on. But in this case, if you're going to rebuild things, be honest about the fact that this is who you are, this is what you need going forward, and that you're not in a place where you could accept anything but that. And give that person an opportunity to experience that and sit with that and think about, do I want that? Or do you want that? Can I do this? Do I even want to do this? How do I feel inside? Pay attention to your feelings. And I don't mean pay attention to your feelings like your trauma feelings. I mean, it's important to pay attention to those feelings, but you can't be in, it's difficult for us to be in relationships with people, secure relationships, if our trauma voice is always on our shoulder. It's like the angel and the devil, right? Like that dialectical voice that's going, all this or all that, or all this or all that, or it's all good if I just get her flowers, and if I just say I want to travel, and if I just tell her I'm not anxious, it'll be okay. And then in the back of your head, there's this little resentment voice going, yeah, but that's not who we are. Deep down inside, we're this kind of person. So why are we pretending that we're this kind of person? Because we're worried we're going to lose them. Like, don't do that anymore. Find ways to nourish your inner self so that when you go to counseling, you can do so from a perspective of, I have my own values, my own independence, I have self-esteem and confidence, I have a life that's rich with friends and family and things that I enjoy. I feel safe when I'm on my own. I feel secure when I'm on my own. I don't need anybody to complete me. I need someone to enrich me. So that's why it's important to be in counseling on your own, as well as counseling when rebuilding your relationship as a couple. So, yeah, that's what I have to add. So if anybody has anything to add, please do. Oh, patience. Be patient. Be patient with your partner. Be patient with yourself. This isn't easy. Rebuilding these kinds of severed attachments are not easy. It takes a lot of work to have a relationship sometimes, especially if there's been trauma influence in that relationship. If you don't come from a secure attachment, it's an investment. I mean, think about investing $10 in a bank account and how much it can grow over time, right? It all depends on how much you invest. If you just throw in $10 and leave it, and you look at the interest rate, I mean, you could be making 5 cents a year. But if you continue to put money away every month, you're investing in that, and it's going to grow. It's all about, is it growing? Is this growing, or am I creating scars? Are there more injuries here, or is there growth happening? And if you're not growing or scarring, that's even worse. If you're just stagnant and you're just kind of like existing with each other, which can totally happen. I mean, you think of dismissive avoidant tendencies. I mean, hey man, people who have that kind of attachment style, we can just sit around and whatever, I'm here. That's not good either. So it's important to think about investing, and being patient and being honest with yourself, because sometimes just going down these journeys with a therapist, it helps us ourselves. Either way, it's a win-win. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about your partner, you're given a platform where you're safe to express what you need. There's a third-party person who's going to mediate and moderate the things that are being exchanged. And maybe you don't have that opportunity when it's the two of you, because things are just so tense and so stressful that you can't say what you need because you get overwhelmed emotionally, or the other person shuts down and leaves, and maybe this has kind of been the dynamic between the two of you, or you both get really big, or you both take off. And when you have that third party person there, you have accountability. You have a moderator of sorts, and that is really, really important. And that's where the meat, or the tofu, depending on where you come from, is made. So, I hope this has been helpful. Please share your experiences with makeups and breakups so that myself and other people who watch the show can learn. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and sleep on it because it will be better in the morning. Love you guys. Bye.